Welcome to today's episode of Sassy Detectives. Today's episode will be a part 2 or continuation of the last episode, so you'll want to make sure that you've listened to that episode first, otherwise some things in this episode may not make sense. Roll the intro. So, but you take the gems back to the trunk at Merrick's, and you have to put the gems into like their corresponding slots, and then you have to like move the gems into the center and rotate them around to put them in the right places, and that's dependent on their shape, I believe. I thought this puzzle was pretty fun, actually. What's your opinion?
It was like really easy for me, so I didn't really have a lot of time doing it. I just noticed how they moved and was like, oh, cool, and then I just did it. So, I don't have many thoughts about it, just, yeah, it's fun, I guess.
Yeah, this
and
felt
pretty,
like an old school
like
Nancy puzzle to me.
Like something you would see in like Treasure of the Royal Tower.
Right. Yeah, and I kind of liked that. It felt very nostalgic.
Yeah, I like that.
And it felt nice because I could figure out how this worked. And this was like right after I had spent a long time just trying to figure out why I couldn't press anything on the trunk. But
yeah.
So it was nice. So, and then another key opens and you get a key. Now, if you use that key on the bottom of the snow globe that Patrizia gave you a long time ago that you've been that has been hanging out in your pockets, it turns the diorama in the globe upside down. And then a weird detachment thing happens, and there's words that say the floods below, high secrets lost. And I can't remember who it is, but I think somebody mentions flooding in the tunnels, which I did not remember this fact.
I did.
So. I did not remember this fact,
yeah,
and I was like, I wonder where to use this. So it did take me some time to figure this out. But when you go back into the tunnels, this time you're not being chased by a knight, so you can take your time looking through them. And there's like all these little, like, I don't even know what you call them. They're like pictures, art, or whatever on the walls hanging. But one of them matches the design that's now on the top of the snow globe after it has been unlocked. So if you go up to that, there's like a little indentation underneath, and you can stick your snow globe in there. And then it is a light refraction puzzle, which we have done these before.
I love it so much!
Yeah, so this one I was happy with.
I was so happy with it.
I found this to be pretty difficult, but not in like a way that made me like frustrated.
Yeah, it was a good one.
Yeah, this one like was a puzzle that I was like, okay, I understand what it is I'm trying to do here. Now I just have to figure out how to make it happen. And those are my favorite kinds of puzzles. So you have to like place the mirrored light things like on the pegs, and then you can rotate them, which then changes like where the light's being shot off to. So that one's pretty good. I liked that puzzle. And then when you finish it, it opens the door to an alchemy workshop. Very Curse of Blackmore Manor, if you ask me.
I loved it so much.
So there, you have some stuff to look at. There's like a black stone lying on a table. That's apparently important. So you pick it up and you put it in your pocket. Actually, I don't remember if you put it in your pocket or if you just look at it. Either way,
you do
it's
put
kind
it in
of
your
important.
pocket.
And then there's like a book, and there's like this weird loose page that's like kind of transparent. And I did not realize at first that you could do this. So it took me a while to realize that you are supposed to take the semi-transparent page and you like line it up with another page on the book, and it'll like snap into place. And and then you're like, oh, okay, I see this like aligns with whatever. I get
like,
kind of
twist
confused
it.
in the alchemy lab.
I kind of did, but then I got better. So I'll explain this part. So you take the kind of sheer piece of paper, you put it on this other piece of paper, and it kind of lines up. You have to like twist it around and stuff, and then it has these set of lines that connect 4 symbols. And next to those 4 symbols so basically the 2 pieces of papers have 2 circles, where one of them is blank and the one on the inside has symbols in it. And so basically the ones with the symbols, you have to find out which symbols on the page next to it would match those symbols, if that makes sense. It's hard to explain without actually seeing it in front of you.
Yeah.
But basically you just find things that match, and then you know, okay, these are 4 symbols. And then I actually had a hilarious thing that my sister and I did with it, where so basically one of the things you do with it is this part where you look and I don't know words anymore. But so how do I explain this? So there's this other piece of paper in it. It's like a little post-it note, but like really, really old post-it note before post-its were a thing.
Yeah.
And so you get that, and it has these little symbols and different things that like match the symbols on another page. But so what was it? I'm trying to figure out, what did I say with it? What did Lexi and I say about it? Because we were like, oh yes, the 3 elements. Let me see. I probably have it on my Instagram somewhere. Okay, so we could probably edit that.
No, that's
that long
fine.
pause. Okay, yeah. So basically, what my sister and I decided these symbols were, yes, the 3 elements. Sasquatch, a cow in an egg, and Freddy Fazbear. So
Yeah.
because that's what it looks like. And so we wrote down like, all right, so we've got Bigfoot, a cow, Moo, and FNAF. So and for some reason that made it easier for us to remember, and it made the puzzle easier to solve.
Yeah.
But anyway, so you line those up, and so you get the not stamps, what? You get the symbols, and you put them in, like, the order that the drawings match up with, and then you take those, and then you go over to the alchemy table, which is super cool and slay, and I want one. I don't have any room for it where I live, though, so that's unfortunate. But I did love that puzzle. I did have issues with grabbing things, though. But anyway, so you solve that, and it's basically a recipe, like, what do you put in the earth crushy thing first? And then what do you put in the fire
like the mortar
thing?
and pestle? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I don't know words, Tori, okay? Stop expecting me to know how to speak English!
No, it's fine. I was just trying to make sure we were both thinking of the same thing.
Yeah! And then you put it in the beaker thing, and then you put it in the air thing, the air pod.
The air pod.
Air pod!
Apple's gonna come at you now. I actually already dissed Apple, sorry.
Oh, wait, no! Oh, yeah, we already did. Oh, well, let's hope Apple doesn't listen to our podcast.
Yeah, hopefully.
Samsung, can you listen to help us just Apple? Anyway, so you do that, and then you have, and then that potion thing opens up the cool little black rock. Because you put the black rock in the air pod. I'm just gonna call it that. Like,
That's fine.
yeah, I'm just gonna call it the air pod. So you put it in the air pod, and then it opens up the rock and it has these symbols. And then you go over to this cool, super cool fancy cabinet, and you put in those symbols with the puzzle. And this puzzle was super, super easy for me to solve, because I accidentally solved it at first. And when I accidentally solved it, I couldn't leave the room because I hadn't solved the other parts of the puzzle, and you have to solve all of the puzzle in order to be able to leave the room.
Mm-hmm.
And then the alchemy table completely disappeared.
Oh.
So it was gone.
It just poofed?
It just poofed! Like, there's nothing. And then I DM'd Indy, one of her interactive employees, and I was like, hey, girl, what happened? And I sent her the video, and I'm like, ah! During the entire video, like, where did it go? Where is it? Because it just disappeared.
That's so odd.
And turns out it was something weird with my computer and the hardware. But anyway, I just reloaded and it was fixed. But anyway, so with the puzzle, basically, when you turn the inner ring, the two outer rings move. When you turn the middle ring, the outermost ring moves, and when you turn the outermost ring, nothing moves. And so you just gotta go put in the combination from the smallest ring to the largest, and then you open it up, and it's super cool, but you can't really take you can't take a ton of stuff. I wanted to take everything because, klepto fantasies. But yeah, it was cool. So that was my main glitch that I encountered.
Yeah, I didn't have that happen to me at all. So I just found that's an interesting thing. I haven't heard anything about the alchemy table just disappearing.
I think I might have been the only one with that issue.
That's so weird. Okay, so now you can leave the lab. And this time you can't. So every time you're in the tunnels, pretty much, you cannot leave the same way you came in, or you cannot leave the same way you did last time. And this was a big frustration for me because I spent a lot of time walking around the tunnels trying to understand why I couldn't go out the same door I just did. And it's just like a plot thing, I guess. But I don't really understand the logic behind this, other than they just wanted to be able to redirect you every time.
Yeah.
But
force us to explore, as if I don't explore literally every inch of video games to the point where I am still playing them for 3 months later.
Yeah, so I don't know. I found that part really frustrating. So this time you have to go through a scary, it's more like dirt tunnel, and as soon as you step into that section, you see a skeleton, and the scary knight that's going to kill you is back, and you have to run away from him. And I did not see the ladder for 6 attempts. I just didn't see it there. There's a ladder you're supposed to climb out, and it's kind of on your right, real. At the end of one of these tunnels, and I just didn't see it. I was like, this thing dead ends. I don't know where I'm supposed to go. But there is a ladder there, so that's how you get out. And then once you're out, it's nighttime, and Adela calls you again, and you tell her about the journal thing you found, and she's like, I'll translate that for you. And you're like, okay, cool beans. And then she's like, why don't you just leave that on the counter in the cafe? Terrible idea, in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
We just did all of this work for this really ancient, potentially life-changing journal. And Nancy's like, okay, I'll just leave it in the cafe, which is obviously not locked. And anybody could walk in there. Yeah. And I'll just put this journal on the counter. Okay, bye-bye. And then we leave.
Nancy has done dumber stuff, though, so.
Yeah. Just because she's done dumber stuff, though, doesn't mean I don't also think this is dumb.
Yeah.
So, and then
at least it's not the Assassin's Creed level parkour in Tomb of the Lost Queen.
Yeah, true. Then you send Patrizia a text message, and you're like, hey, I left this thing for Adela. And then I think you can also check in with the police, and the police are like, the dean, he's on a flight to Rome, so sorry. And you're like, okay, sure. And then I think you can talk to Radek, who's chilling
Yeah.
outside. And I
Can
think
I just mention one thing?
Uh-huh.
It is so beautiful at night there.
Oh, I do like
Like, it is so pretty.
the locations are nice. I
It
really don't have
is,
many complaints about like how everything looks.
yeah, the graphics were so many steps up from Midnight in Salem. And because, like, I love, like, all the beams of light and everything and how pretty. It's just, it's beautiful. And I really like it. But,
I
like,
like
whenever it would happen to be, like, at nighttime, I would just have to, like, stare at everything for a few seconds. I'm like, okay, yeah, I just needed to look at that. Oh, that's nice.
uh-huh. I like that this is maybe like a weird note to say, but
Mhm.
I appreciate how they made all the characters' clothes look like clothes, and they have like different textures, and
Yeah, that was nice.
they like fold and move in like the ways that clothes should. Like for instance, in Midnight in Salem, Olivia's like long jacket that she wears does not move like clothes would move.
Yeah, no.
But like Radek's little mustard sweater though, it like bunches around his elbows the way that it should, and like all of those things.
Yeah!
So,
It was good. I liked that.
yeah. So I like that too. And then you talk to Radek about the Residente, and I think that triggers the end of the day. So then you go next day, and you have to go talk to Adela because she has translated the journal. But Nancy wants to snoop through Adela's stuff. So you have to ask Patrizia to distract Adela, which that seems really suspicious, I guess. I don't know. I'm trying to look at this from Patrizia's point of view, and I think that she would be suspicious, but maybe not. I don't know. So she's like, sure, yeah, I'll do that. Patrizia asks Adela to come help her with a coffee thing, and you have to look at the bag, and you have to do it pretty quick. And there's like a newspaper, but I don't think that's important. I think the important thing is there's like this weird metal. I don't want to say it's like a compact, but like it kind of is. I don't know.
It's like a little boxy thing. I don't know.
Yeah, and you like slide the letters left and right, and it like reveals different letters, and you're trying to like make words. So when you make the words, it opens up, and you find the necklace. And then there's like a document. It's like a policy, like an insurance policy on the necklace, and it's not complete. So it would suggest that the necklace is not insured. So you put everything back, and Adela comes back to the table. You talk to her about the necklace some more, and she gives you the journal, which has the translations, and there's 3 riddles. And these riddles hurt my brains. So I am really glad that in the game,
I liked them.
you get to talk to Patrizia about the riddles, and she gives you guidance. Which I guess that would mean if you didn't want the guidance, you wouldn't have to talk to Patrizia about them. So I guess that's a good option. I think you can also talk to Patrizia about some other stuff that's been going on, like Leo.
Yeah.
But she is basically like, oh, you should look at this about this. And, the first poem is obviously about a night, and the second poem is about candles, and the third poem is about a clock. So it kind of just gives you some ideas of, like, where to look.
Yeah.
And I definitely went to the big clock first to look around, and that was not right. It was supposed to be the little clock that's on display in the cafe. So that was something that was just me being a silly goose and not understanding what I was supposed to be looking at. And of all of the people that help you with understanding how to read this clock, it's Ned.
I love it, though.
I love it. But it seems like, I don't know. It seemed a little inorganic to me. However, I'm not really complaining because I'm just glad that they finally gave Ned more use in a game than just, oh, I miss you so much. And, oh,
Yeah.
I'm just being over here being sad while you're being a detective or whatever. So, like, at least they gave Ned like more of a purpose and role in this. So
I liked Ned in this.
Yeah, he gives you information about how to read the clock.
Yeah. I did see some people saying, oh, Ned was super out of character and, like, super, like, boring and, like, he had weird texts and stuff. I'm like, have you played the special edition of The Deadly Device? Because he sends the weirdest texts in that game.
That's true.
And so it's very on brand for Ned to text weirdly. Mm-hmm. And he's like a little bit of a boomer when he texts, so...
I'm really not upset about it, though.
Like, it's Ned. He's just like this, and I adore him for that.
So I'm gonna speed this up a little bit because we are taking a long time, which I knew this was gonna be a long episode.
We're probably going to have to do like a 2-parter for this.
I was gonna ask you if I edit this and like split it into 2 parts. Is that okay with you?
Absolutely.
Okay. Because we're already at 2 hours.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is gonna be a long one.
Yeah.
Oh, so our first 2-parter, but it's also the first game that we've had in like 5 years. So like,
true. I think it's worth the time. I just
it's definitely worth it. Yeah.
I realized looking at the timestamp that holy crap, this is gonna be a 3+ hour episode.
Yeah.
So, okay. So, I'm going to try to go a little bit faster, though. So, now
Speedy.
We understand the clock a little bit better, and we have to understand, like, what we're trying to do with the clock that's in the cafe, and that's to put in the clock, the date of Rudolph's coronation, which was November 1st at 6 o'clock in the morning, which 6 o'clock in the morning, ridiculous. Anyway, so
morning people, am I right?
Morning people. I'm kidding. I'm kind of a morning person, but
me too.
But so we get you put that in, and it gives you this like cylinder thing. These like this golden cylinder, and it's got lines on it, and you have to line the lines up. Line the lines up. And then if you put that back in, it opens a keyhole, and then you're like, oh, but there's still more to do. Actually, I think that's the second part of the puzzle, because you have to put the calendar thing based on November 1, which like there's just like these little like painting pictures. So you put that in, and then you have to do the astronomical clock for the correct date and time, and then it opens the second keyhole. And then you just put the keys in, and it gives you a piece of the schematic.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out. I was like, what does it give you again? A piece of the schematic, the key schematic, because you need all of it. Then you got to go back to the nighttime museum, and you go in there, and you have to adjust the night so that the moonlight shines off of his shield, and then it gives you some more schematics in the helmet. And then
nice. So did you actually like solve this one?
I did actually. This was the easiest one for me.
I couldn't. Like, I did not understand it, and so I just fiddled around with it for 10 minutes, and then it worked.
Oh. Yeah, no, this is the one that this is the only one that I didn't really have any problems with. Was the night one. I was like, okay, I get it. I see the moonlight, like, I get it.
Yeah, like, I didn't hate it, I just thought it was pretty, and I had no thoughts, just vibes.
The last one was the hardest one for me. So this is the candle one, and you have to go to the candle board.
Oh, I hated the candle one.
Up outside of Leo's office. And what I didn't... So you have to put the old coin that you've picked up in the alchemy workshop on there, which I got, I understood. And I was like, oh, okay, this is where the coin goes, because it's like the Latin or Italian word for copper. So you put it on there. I think it's the Latin word for copper.
Yeah.
And then all of these letters, and so if you click around, like, you can light up the different tiles, and the idea here, so I thought I didn't know what I was supposed to be spelling out here. This was where I got tripped up. At first I was like, okay, well, it talks about choir singing, so I was like, maybe it should be like all letters that are on like a musical staff, so like A through G. So like those are the ones I lit up, and it wasn't correct, and I was like, I don't know what it is. And so I was really trying to do something else. I was kind of just like stepping away from the candle puzzle, and I was going to try to just find other things. So I started digging through Leo's office again, just to see if there was like anything I had missed, like whatever. And in the newsletter, it tells you that the Latin spelling of copper is cuprum. And I was like, well, we just used the coin, so maybe I'll try that. And that's the answer, is like you have to put in cuprum. And I was like,
on the back of the coin, too, it has the copper symbol for alchemy. So, yeah.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah. Like, see, one of the things I did really like about this game was, like, the variety of people's experiences playing it, because there are some puzzles that you're really good at, like the night puzzle, and stuff that I'm really good at, like the latte art, and I suck at the night puzzle. And then there's ones like, and my sister loved the candles puzzle. Like, that was her favorite puzzle in the entire game, I think, besides the puppet one. So there is just such a range of people's favorite things and about this game, which I really like that. I think that's a good variety.
Yeah. So then you have all the schematics. So now you're like, okay, cool. I did that. And so you go back out and you're in the courtyard, and there's like fog everywhere. And you have to text Ned and basically tell him that you're going to track down the fog. He's concerned. I think he has every right to be.
Yeah. Which, like, he's used to this by now, but he's also like, Nancy, can you please stop making me stress out so much? It ruins my life and takes a year off of it every time you do this, please. And she's like, no, I'm gonna go do something dangerous again. Teehee. And then she runs and does it.
So now you have to go to this gate that's kind of hidden toward the left of like the cafe, and it's like around, which I found this gate in the beginning of the game and tried a bunch of things all the time to get into it. And you can't get into it until you are meant to get into it, which I think is weird because you can pick up the screwdriver really early in the game and it just doesn't work on the gate until now.
Yeah.
And I just found that like I sighed because I was like, I have tried this screwdriver on this gate like 4 times before right now. And now it's fine because it's like, anyway. So you use
I did like that when she picks up the screwdriver, she says, "Gotta have some torque," because you know that's an iconic Nancy line, so it made me happy.
Yeah, I did like the callback to those dogs. So you do the lockpick puzzle. It's really not that difficult. It's like a button press, like a timed button press.
This
which is fine
one, so this game gave me flashbacks to an Assassin's Creed game, which I didn't think I would ever get flashbacks to an Assassin's Creed game in Nancy Drew, but I remember when I played, so in Assassin's Creed Unity, which is the one that takes place during the French Revolution, so one of the things you can do is pick locks, and the lockpick puzzle in Assassin's Creed Unity is almost the same as in this one. And but when I played Assassin's Creed Unity, I was like, this is so bad for an Assassin's Creed game. Why do I have to solve a puzzle every time I do this? I hate it. Because it's dumb. For an Assassin's Creed game, I'm here to jump at people with knife hands and fall off of buildings, not solve puzzles. But it did really fit into the Nancy Drew game. So I was like, finally a game this fits into!
Yeah.
But anyway, that's my thought of it.
I think that puzzle was fine. It felt like a good modern integration. So
yeah, I liked it.
So I guess the goal here when you get through this gate is you're supposed to lay a trap for whatever is following you, because Nancy is convinced that obviously this knight is like out for her, and she thinks her phone's been compromised and such on, so on and everything. So you go into the alleyway. You gotta grab a hammer. I remember that. And then there's cardboard boxes. And if you like go up these like rampy things, you're supposed to like put the cardboard boxes. I got very confused because I did not realize that when I was placing the boxes that there were still boxes in my inventory. So I was placing all these boxes and then I was like, there are no more boxes for me to pick up and like for the next pile. Not realizing that I just had like infinite number of boxes in my pockets, I guess. But anyway, I figured that out eventually and I put the boxes all around, and then you're just kind of like, then you have to unscrew the scaffolding. Really dangerous in my opinion. You like basically loosen everything, all of these like these like grate latches or whatever. And then you put your phone on a box to kind of lure him, and then you wait, and everything falls, all the boxes fall on the knight. And then you go down there and you, a la Scooby-Doo, pull the mask off, and it's Radek. And then you're like, what the heck? And then you find out Merrick is also involved. And you're like, what the heck is happening? Oh, they're part of the Residente. And you have to trust them. And in order to prove your trust, you get a neato pin.
Yeah, it's actually like super funny when this happens. Because, Radek is talking about it, and then Nancy's like, so you guys are Residente, and Merrick is like, did you really tell her that we're Residente? And Radek is like, nope, you just did. And he's like, yeah. Well, crap. So I thought that was a cute little piece of dialogue.
I did think that this whole, like, section did feel kind of like Scooby-Doo, and I really don't mean that in, like, a bad way.
It was very Scooby-Doo affectionate.
It was very Scooby-Doo affectionate, yeah. So, you have that, but here's my beef, okay? Here's my beef.
What?
So, Radek is the scary skeleton man that has been killing us and that we have been dying from in the tunnels. Bro, why you been trying to kill me?
He is committed to the bit!
That's not enough! That's not enough for me.
He is committed to it, okay? See, Lexi, when we first played this, she was like, he's just a funky little theater kid, and so that's what I'm going with.
Yeah, it's too much for me. I'm like, now I'm salty at you, sir. You tried to kill me in the tunnels. So then they're like, hey, we'll be hanging out in the shop. Come talk to us. And you're like, all right. So you go to the old town. You go to Apparat. And they're like, you can't be tracked if you don't have a SIM card in your phone. So Nancy's like, okay. And just like rips it out. So yeah, that happens. And you're like, okay, I guess I will, try to set this as like another trap, I guess, for the Lufkaji, I think is how they say it.
Yeah. Which is the evil puppet people who sent the bad note, and also the jump scare with the computer file. Yeah.
So then Radek and Merrick are like, oh, we'll make the 7 keys for you. You got the schematics? And you're like, I sure do. And you put them all down. And then you have to craft the key based on the weight. So the weight puzzle, I actually liked this one too. I thought it was nice. It was a good logic puzzle. I liked the fact that there was like one variable. So you have to like... You change it around because the variable could be any of the 6. So like basically I solved it by like finding the weight of the 5 that we knew, and then just like putting the variable as number 1 and then putting the variable as number 2 and like arranging the rest of them around that.
Yeah. I liked that one.
Yeah. But yeah, that's kind of I liked that puzzle. Then they you have to do like a drop point at the statue. So you go to the courtyard and you put your bag in here with the tracker. And then you go to Apparat and you talk to Merrick again. Merrick is like, I'll give you a transmitter and you can track down the culprit. And I got very confused because I didn't realize that, like, I had to step in the exact same spot. So at first I thought this was another glitch because I was walking all around the courtyard to start tracking down the culprit and the beeping would just never start. And I was like, what the heck? But you have to like zoom all the way back into where you had put the bag down. And that's when the beeping starts. And I was like, okay. So once I got that going, you do the little receiver cues or whatever. And you walk around. And I did find another glitch here. And it was, I accidentally walked into the tunnels from the little ramp that's next to the museum. And I got stuck in there because you're not supposed to enter the tunnels from that way.
Oh, no.
And there's no exit. Like every exit is locked. So I actually had to reload an earlier save file and then work my way back through to this point. So don't walk into the tunnels from the ramp. Otherwise, you'll get stuck in there.
Yeah. No.
So then you go through the old town and you go into a new door at the very end. And it leads you through a new part of the tunnels, which this is the way you're supposed to walk into the tunnels.
Yeah.
And you go in all the way through and it leads you back to the alchemy workshop. So you open it again and now you find the bad guy. Which is Vladena.
Wow, who could have guessed that the terrible person was the bad guy? Yep. I loved it though. Like,
yeah. So
I did like her as a villain.
You get poisoned, so that's cool. And then you pick up the poison bottle, and Nancy says it smells like fish or whatever. And then you have to make an antidote. So I did not realize that you have to put the poison bottle into the glass dome thing in order to even be able to click on anything else on the alchemy table. I was like, it won't let me make the antidote. It won't let me. And like, I think I died twice. It wasn't until the third time. Me too. It wasn't until the third time that I realized that I had to put the thing into the glass dome to even get started.
Girl, if we were recording the podcast in the same room, I would give you the biggest high five right now because same.
Yeah. So that was a little frustrating for me, but once we got going, it was cool because the paper for how to make the cures is like hanging up right there, so it's not a big deal. And I make the cure, and then you take it. And you're like, cool, now I'm good. I'm not dying. So now I can go through the secret door. And you find Adela's gems hanging out in this little room, which does not look like the comfiest dorm room, but apparently somebody thought it was because there's like a little bed set up. And then I think there's like a little piece of information, I don't remember what it is, that's like laying on the desk there. But you use the laptop to like connect to Elka because apparently the internet's great down here. And she's like, okay, me and Merrick will call the police or whatever while you keep chasing her. So you're like, all right. So you go through and now you're at like this big fancy door and it's time to put the 7 keys in. So you have your little like, so you have your little, it's, you have to get the keys out of the satchel, which is sitting there. But you
Yeah.
get the keys and you have your little hint sheet or whatever. And you have to put the keys in, and this is a puzzle. It has to do with the this is where the alchemy book that you've put in your pocket from the beginning comes into play. But you
Cool
have to
one,
put them
yeah.
in the correct place depending on like which schematic was found in which place and all of that sort of thing. And then the colors. It's the colors that correspond. Yeah.
No,
Um,
it's the shape of the key thingy.
yeah. So once they're all in the right place, then you have to turn them in the correct order, which has to do with the order of so like the sun is at the top, and so everything goes by like the order of the planets, and each planet is also associated with a element. So you do like the corresponding metal for each of the planets, and then you turn them in that order. That took me a while to figure out, but I actually think that was still a pretty well designed puzzle. So I wasn't super upset that one took me a while. I was just trying to figure out like I think what each key was like as far as the metals go. But yeah, so you get through that, and now you have a biometric door. And you have to turn the power on from the panel. And then this is another fun puzzle too. It's just kind of like you have to connect from one arrow to the other arrow in like a line. So you do that. You like spin those until they connect. And then you have to do more cyberblock. And these are difficult if I remember right.
Yeah, they're super hard.
Yeah,
But
these
they're
took
fun.
me a while. Again, not really upset about that because it's a good puzzle. But they definitely are harder. Then you go back, then you're in the door. You take the taser ring because apparently you have that. I don't remember how we got that. How did we get the taser ring?
We grab it from. Wait, it's later. It's later than that. The taser ring comes much later.
Because you walk in and Vladena is there.
Wait, no, you forgot. Elka comes.
I forgot what?
Elka.
Yeah. Did she give us the taser ring?
No. Okay, this is what happens. So, we get to the door, and we get there, we get through, and right in time for the biometric scanner, Elka comes in, and she's like, hey Nancy, I kind of want to help, because I think Resident Evil is pretty cool and everything, and stuff. And then you go, so you do the puzzle and stuff, and then you talk to Elka more, and then Nancy's... Something happens to where you talk to Elka more, and then you find out that Elka did not call the police. So Elka is not helping. Elka.
I thought that
is
happens after because so Vladena forces you to like put the original gems in the crown.
No, that's all before that. Yeah, so the order goes, you go to the door, you open it, and then it comes to the biometric scanner puzzle, and then Elka's there to help. And then you get through the... So, you get Elka to basically monologue.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah,
I was
so
like,
you get Elka to
what?
monologue. And I have a lot of feelings about Elka and Nancy together, because they both have a very similar backstory, with their mothers being involved with very dangerous spy work, and both being killed in a mission, and both having to grow up without a mother, but both of them chose extremely different ways to cope with it and to handle it. Like, Nancy wanted to be more like her mother with a bunch of stuff like that, and Elka wanted to destroy what destroyed her mother and stuff. It's such a cool... I'll talk about it more when we get to characters, but anyway, Elka basically tells her all of her, like, why she's doing this, why she's like this. And I really, really liked that character stuff for her. That was super interesting for me because I love thematic parallels in stories.
So I love it between Nancy and Elka.
Yes. Ugh. I love it. I love those things. But anyway, so after that,
Then we
Nancy
go
gets the
in
door open. Yeah, and
and we
as
see,
Nancy's shutting the door, she grabs the ring off of Elka's hand
yeah,
and slams it behind her.
that's right.
And now we're in the vault, and we see Vladena holding a knife, and Leo is on the floor, passed out.
Yeah. And Vladena's like, you have to put the original gems from the necklace into the crown. And this was so confusing to me because I didn't realize that like you had to rotate them. And I was
Yeah.
like, I have put all of these gems into this dang crown. Why the
Yeah.
heck is it not doing anything?
Why does it look bad? Oh, it's because I haven't done it correctly.
Yeah, I was like, this is ugly. And
Yeah,
then you put the
basically-
taser ring into the bottom.
Yeah.
But I did like the sort of idea that like you could only do the taser ring when
she was
Vladena's like looking away.
Yeah.
That was
a
kinda
cool
neat.
touch.
So you do it, you give it to her, she puts it on her head, she gets tased, she is knocked out. Leo wakes up and you can kind of be like, all right, we have to get you out of here.
Yeah. He's like, well, this is one weird trip to Rome.
Uh-huh. And
Which,
so you
same,
have to
buddy.
figure out how to get out, and you have to do that by activating the like candle holders around the room, which I thought this was neat.
Yeah.
Where you start with
I
the one that
liked
has
it.
one candle, and then you
It made me very happy because I like it when things have numbers that signify when you press them down and stuff, especially when they're like subtle things that you normally wouldn't notice.
yeah.
And then you look close and you're like, "Ooh, it's a puzzle!"
Yep.
So that made me do that little giggly jester thing. So I was like, "Oh, hee hee hee, fun puzzle."
Hee hee hee.
Hee hee hee. That was me most of the game, if I'm being honest.
So you open the door, and now you're running out with Leo. You have to pick a lock again. Which why, if we are great lock pickers, why don't we just pick the locks of all the locked gates down here the whole game? Anyway,
Yeah.
so we go back outside, and then we watch the police go after Elka and Vladena, and now we get the recap at the cafe. We did it. And we get to meet Zane in person, which I think was kind of a
Yeah.
strange thing to include, but okay, whatever.
He was cool. Listen, the man
Yeah, I
has
like him.
drip.
Oh,
The
yeah,
man has
his outfit
drip.
was great.
Look at that coat. Look at that coat. He shops at expensive stores.
Yes.
That's probably like a Chanel coat or something. I don't know. It's an expensive coat. He wears designer clothes. He's slay.
Yeah. No, I mean, I liked him. I just didn't expect him to show up at the end.
Yeah.
So then at the end, you get text messages from Ned and your dad, and you can call one of them. Who did you call?
First, I called Ned.
I called Carson.
Yeah, I was just like, I didn't really care. I feel like I've been neglecting Ned because I always do.
Uh-huh.
So, I felt bad and guilty because I'm a bad girlfriend.
No, it's fine.
And so I called him. But then I restarted from my autosave after I finished the game and called Carson. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's, so that's the game. That's the
Wait,
game.
there's a few other parts. So we do have how Elka was arrested, and you see a little cutscene with that. And I did love the way this is like more of like the graphics and stuff, but I love the way her movements were at that part because it looked so like realistic with the way she was moving, and I really liked that. And then in the last scene, I don't know how you trigger it, but you can trigger finding out who the original necklace's owner was. Because Adela said that her family, who was super poor back in the day, like decades and generations ago, I guess, there are these people fleeing from something. I don't remember what it was. But then you can actually put together a puzzle on the back of the necklace. I do not know how to trigger it. It's just one of those little Easter egg things. That's not like a literal Nancy Drew Easter egg, but like little tidbit you can unlock and stuff. But then you look at it and you're like, hold on, I recognize this name that's on the back of the necklace now. And you can talk to Patricia. And it was her family when they immigrated to the Czech Republic, or Czechia, to flee whatever was going on. And they gave the necklace to Adela's family as a thank you and payment for helping them.
Ah.
So, yeah, fun little cool little tidbit of information that is not necessary to solve the game, but it's really cool to find out anyway.
Okay. I'm down.
So, yeah. But
All
anyway,
right.
so then there's the game, and then there's the end credits scene. So, we do not get a teaser to a new game, but we get a text conversation between Nancy and Zane Garrett. And he mentions how the police never found Vladena. So... Is she gonna come back?
Future villain return?
I really hope so. What I really want is... Okay, here are spoilers for... this game, The Captive Curse, and The Phantom of Venice. But what I would really love to see is a Gaslight Gatekeep girl boss trifecta of Anya, Helena, and Vladena working together to take down Nancy, or do some kind of really big, badass girl boss villain stuff. Because I would think that's really fun.
Yeah, I'd be down to see that.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. Yeah, they're obviously never gonna tell us when we're gonna get a game like that, because that would spoil the whole thing, but I would just think it's neat.
Yeah.
But anyway...
So shall we move on to talking about characters and dialogue?
Yes! Okay, so I'm just gonna start out with something negative. Some of the dialogue did feel kind of funky.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, it felt quite a bit funky in certain areas. But ultimately, I didn't think it was bad enough to make me not like the dialogue at all. Because I, too, have said really weird things all the time. So, I get it, I guess.
Yeah.
But I did think there were some quotes that I did like. Can't remember them off the top of my head because I'm tired. But as for the characters, I really liked the characters. And I liked having such a variety of characters. Because then it gives you... Because some of the characters, like, you don't really suspect at all. Like, for me, Patricia wasn't ever on my list of prime suspects. She's just there, and I liked having a character that was just there. Kind of like Lamont in Legend of the Crystal Skull.
Right.
I know they give some hints to him being involved at some points, but, like, have you ever suspected Lamont in that game?
No.
No, he's just there, and so I liked having a character who's just there, and that was cool. And then you also had, like, Leo, and you had, the people at Apparat, which is Elka and Merrick, and then I loved the variety of characters and stuff. I loved the characters, the way they would interact with each other. I like seeing characters interact, and that was super cool seeing them in this way. And, I'm just gonna say it again, I love how Elka mirrors Nancy in a bad way. Mm-hmm. I made a little so in the launch team group chat, I made a diagram of how Deirdre, Nancy, and Elka kind of are parallels of Nancy. Nancy's parallel of Nancy. I'm tired. But, like, Deirdre is a parallel of Nancy, to where there are so many things in her life where she could have been Nancy Drew, and when we get to more Deirdre stuff in later games, I'll talk about that, especially in Midnight in Salem, but I'm not going to go into that. So I love the thematic parallels between Nancy and Deirdre all the time, but, so that one is like a constant little thing that keeps going on, but Nancy and Elka have this one huge event in their childhood that shaped the rest of their life. And that is something. And from that moment on, and learning more about that, there are decisions that they make completely go in opposite directions. Like, Nancy wanted to help Cathedral and to help everything, and to become a detective and everything, and to solve crimes and stuff like that, like her mom to be like a hero and everything. And Elka just wanted revenge. And seeing how one decision can change the trajectory of somebody's life, just mwah, chef's kiss. I loved it. And the way it's just I love parallels. I love parallels. Okay, can you blame me?
It's good. I think it's good. Like, it felt like the characters were well thought out.
Yeah.
I think the only complaint that I really have is that I think because there are so many characters in this game, it suffers from the like not enough time to like really delve deep into a lot of them.
I wanted even more.
Right. Like for instance, Oscar, like aside from talking to him about the artifact, once that puzzle is done, he has nothing more to say to you for the entire rest of the game. So if you're somebody like me who brute forces it in the very beginning of the game, Oscar is completely useless to you after that point. And so it's like that was like a little bit of like a disappointment because I'm like he's been created to be very interesting and have some potential, and you overhear him, you know, insist to talk to Leo on 2 different occasions, and it's like I want to dive more into that. Like what is it about him? I want to be able to confront him about this. And like you just don't have that. And like especially like you have the character of Elka, who is probably the most fleshed out character, her and Vladena. But then it also poses the potential that we had to dive into Merrick, and I feel like we don't have the opportunity to really dive into his story as much either, other than for the plot device that he is connected to Elka. So it's like they had a lot of good thought that's very evident in the creation of the characters. And while like I agree with you, and I mentioned earlier, some of the dialogue is directed really weird, and like I don't care for some of it, and it does make characters like Oscar and Vladena feel a little unrealistic. But it's evident that they put thought into the characters and why they exist in the story the way that they do. I just think that it was not executed to the full potential that it could have been.
Yeah, I just, you know, I do wish they went a little bit further with certain parts of it, but ultimately I'm very happy with where they were with the characters. Unless we're talking about the useless NPCs. Which, do you have anything else to say about the rest of the characters before I get onto my NPC rant?
No.
Okay! The NPCs are super freaking stupid! I hate them! I detest them! Why are they there? Why? There's like 3 of the same person standing in a 12-foot radius of the other one. And, like, why is Andrew Tate there? Why is a wannabe Frank Hardy there? Why is the miraculous lady girl there but she has purple hair? Why?
So I also don't care.
What is going on?
I think, like, I understand why they did them. I just don't think they needed to. So I'm sure the idea was, let's make it seem like people actually live in Prague and like there are people milling about. But
yeah,
I think the best way to handle something like this is exactly what they did in Phantom of Venice.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say!
Yeah. The sound design lends itself to the illusion that this is a bustling town with people. We didn't have to see the NPCs. And they did this in Midnight in Salem too, and I didn't care for it. It's like, I don't.
But we did get some great memes out of that.
Yeah. It's like, I don't need to. Yeah. Why are there protesters? Yeah.
And the T-posing protester too.
But it's like, I don't need to see an NPC copy pasted onto itself all over the place to understand that like people live in Prague. Like there are other ways to do it that are way more effective. We've had examples of it in the past. So I also do not care for the NPCs at all, which is why I lowered the amount of them in the settings.
The only thing I did like about the NPCs though was in the free roam modern mode, I could get into their faces and get up on all in their business. Yeah. Because every once in a while, because y'all probably know that I play Skyrim an absurd amount. And one of the things I like to do in Skyrim is when I'm bored, I will go into first person point of view and I would get into people's faces. And just for fun, for no other reason, but because I want to annoy people. And you can do that in this game. And when I played with my sister, she spent like a whole 15 minutes just doing that. Because she liked being, she's hilarious. We gotta get her on the podcast sometime. But, it was really fun to annoy people, and that's the only thing I liked about the, protesters. I mean, the NPCs!
The protesters?
Why are there protesters in a small town like this? See, I am back on my Midnight in Salem NPC hater stuff again. Like, I hate the NPCs. Go away! Go away! They're not stupid enough and you can't steal from them, so, like, stop. Okay? Bad. No. But anyway, next I need to talk about the phone characters.
Okay.
So, I have a huge rant about the phone characters. I hated them. I thought they were utilized terribly, because they were only utilized when they absolutely needed to be. And I'm like, where are all the useless conversations? Like, where is Bess and George asking me which Hardy Boy I like better? Where's me asking Savannah Woodham what started her on her ghost hunting journey, even though it has nothing to do with the plot? What is... You know, just, I need useless stuff to talk to my phone contacts about it, instead of only having the specific stuff to talk about. Like, that, like, one of the reasons why, and I will include that with, like, the characters in the game and the actual place as well. And I'll say, this is kind of spoilery for Shadow of the Water's Edge, but one of the things I love about Shadow of the Water's Edge is that you do not need to talk about any, like, all of the dialogue options to finish the game. There's only certain ones that you need to do, but if you do exhaust all dialogue options with all characters and do all the stuff to where you can talk about them with everything, you get so much insane detail into the story that you won't get if you don't play it the otherwise, but there's no options for that in this game. And especially with the phone characters, like, you just call them for one thing and then you hang up and it's done. And I'm like, no, give me my stupid stuff.
I also hate that, like, if you call them and you don't have a reason to call them, that they don't even answer. I hated that.
Yeah, and Nancy herself sometimes just says, I shouldn't call them right now. And like, oh, now's not a good time to call them. Like, she's done that before in games with this, but this time, like, it'll let you call other people instead of just being in a bad area to call people. And like it's just like, if you don't have any reason to call them, like, you just can't talk to them. And I'm like, no, let me just call somebody, and they say hi, and Nancy says bye, and they're like, see you later, and then you hang up. I need my stupid stuff back. Give me back my stupid stuff. So that's my phone characters rant.
Yeah. Any other character notes before we move on to music?
Radek looks like he's gonna cry at every moment, and I love him for that. He's pathetic, and I wouldn't have him any other way. Like, that's my pathetic little guy right there. Okay,
yeah.
Big wet brown eyes. Just, he's like a chihuahua, you know. So, like a sad chihuahua, like my little guy. Not one of the, not one of those chihuahuas, but the chihuahua that's just gonna cry.
Trembly dude.
Yeah, I love him. He's pathetic. I adore that guy. I love how Elka does when she's talking about her little crush on Radek before she reveals it's all fake. She talks about, like, I just think he's, like, cute and mysterious, like, a little bit, like, he's got a little quality to him, and I'm just like, where? He is a dork.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I love him. No, but, like, I like him better as a weird dorky guy, as a weird theater nerd with puppets, than if he were actually, like, suave and mysterious, you know?
Agree.
So, and Merrick's cool. So that's all I have to say.
Merrick's my favorite.
Yeah, he's cool. That's all I have to say is that he's cool. So, yeah, let's move on to the next subject.
So music, I will admit, I did not dislike any of the music, but I also don't think I loved it. It was not my favorite. I felt like some tracks were kind of repetitive and kind of forgettable. But there wasn't anything like jarring or wrong about them, in my opinion. I just kind of felt like they were slightly forgettable. Like, they were just okay for me.
Yeah, I also I think I liked the music better than you did, except for the music that they play in the computer place, the tech shop, because I thought it was crap. Like, I
Okay.
did not like that track. I did not. It was too repetitive. It was too boring. It was too annoying, and I was like, nah, bro, I'm not into this. But the rest of it I really liked. So it wasn't quite up to, the Kevin Manthe standards that I'm usually
Yeah.
at, but I
Or
still
even
liked
Thomas
it.
Region.
Yeah, I thought it was like I thought it was really nice and relaxing and pretty. And it fit the mystery and the vibes and stuff. So I liked that.
Yeah. Puzzles?
Yeah! Oh! Listen, Midnight in Salem had like 2 puzzles and they were super stupid and I hated them. They did have a really good minigame though. I did like the apothecary minigame. That was really fun. But this one had so many puzzles and I was so happy because like I haven't had like a good Nancy Drew puzzle game in years. And like 10 years. It was like 10 years, wasn't it? Oh my god. Or almost 10 years. I don't know. But it's a lot. It's a lot. And I was like, "Oh, I need a good puzzle. I need a good puzzle." And I got so many of them and I was so happy about it. And like I was like literally like kicking my feet in glee at the puppet puzzle because it was so fun. And I was like, "Ooh, tee oh, what a fun little puzzle. Ooh, I'm enjoying myself. I'm gleeful." And I haven't felt that way about a puzzle in an Nancy Drew game in so long, and so, like, having such a good variety of puzzles, too, because, like, there's some puzzles that I didn't like at all, but my sister really liked, like, the candle puzzle. Lexi she just, like, breezed through that one. She just had fun with it, and I was like, damn, girl, good job. I sucked at that one.
Yeah.
And so, like, there is such a variety to the puzzles. To where I was like, yeah, this slays. I like it. Because, in every Nancy Drew game, there's going to be puzzles that you like and the puzzles that you don't like. And so I really, I like that about it, how it has that range. Because, like, if we had a game with puzzles that everybody hated, that would be sad. If we had puzzles with everybody where everybody loved all the puzzles, that would be impossible. Nobody likes all of those puzzles. There's gonna be people who hate some of the puzzles. And so I liked just having this variety for, like, people who are good at this kind of puzzle, people who are good for this kind of puzzle, and stuff like that. And that was nice. And I even like that they did have math puzzles in there, because I do like having math puzzles, I just hate them, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, so I thought the puzzles were amazing in this game, and I was very, very happy about it.
I think I kind of touched on, like, my opinion of each puzzle as we were talking about it in this,
Yeah.
like, the story. So I don't want to rehash that too much, but I do think that generally this game had puzzles that I found really enjoyable. I think the downsides of the puzzles all came from either really vague or no direction in regards to them, or like actual, like, mechanical issues that made them, like, hard to function. But as far as, like, the and I'm also still salty about the fact that, like, I did the, like, bento puzzle. It's not bento, but, like, I did it right and it just wasn't there right, so it was accepted. I'm a little salty about that too, but overall I think that the puzzles are good, and I think that I actually think that this game would be among probably, like, the top half of strongest of puzzles if some of those issues that I had already talked about, if those were like fixed or addressed in some way, and made better. I think that this game could be a contender for, like, a really great, like, puzzle game, like, even maybe on par with something like Legend of the Crystal Skull.
Yeah. It was good. There's so many good puzzles, and I was very happy, because that's one of the reasons why I like the Nancy Drew game so much, is because of the puzzles. I'm a puzzle girly. I love puzzles. And so having all of these puzzles after Midnight in Salem was so nice, and it made me happy. So, yeah. That's my opinion on the puzzles. I liked them. They're neat.
Atmosphere setting?
Slay.
Yeah. I think this is probably actually the strongest element of this game for me. I do like
so beautiful.
Prague. I do think that it's great to have a game that looks good again.
Yeah.
I do think that personally, I still think it's not quite as lovely as Sea of Darkness was. I just think that's the most beautiful game that is
stunning.
Exist. So I think we're not quite there yet. We're not back up to that yet.
But it was beautiful.
But it is much better than Midnight in Salem. I'm also very, very happy that, like Midnight in Salem on the laptop I have, I had to play it in windowed mode on the lowest possible resolution in order for it to run smoothly.
Oh, yikes.
And same laptop that I just played Mystery of the Seven Keys with, where I had to change nothing and everything worked really smoothly. So I am...
That's actually... that's how I'm playing Red Dead Redemption 2 right now.
In like the smallest resolution possible?
Not the smallest resolution possible, but a smaller one and windowed. So, but I still like it. I'm still having a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But like my computer barely runs it, but it runs it. I force it to. So.
So
But it is worth it. It is worth it to do that with Red Dead Redemption 2. Midnight in Salem, however,
not worth it. Yeah, no. Definitely not. So I'm just happy that those things have been improved. And I think that like Prague was a good choice for a setting. I think
it was so pretty.
It's very vibey. It's been a while since Nancy's been in something European like that. I guess the last time would have been like Captive Curse, right?
Sea of Darkness is technically in Europe, I think.
Oh, I guess that's technically true.
Wait. Is Iceland continent? Yeah, it says it's in Europe. Because I was like, and then Greenland must be the one that's, Greenland continent is on North America. Yeah, they're moderately similar, I guess. Yeah. But I was just like, is that Europe or not? Yeah, so it is Europe.
But I guess I'm thinking like, because I mean, Europe is very diverse in and of itself. So it's like, I don't think to myself that Prague is like Iceland. Like in my brain, they're like very different. So it's been a while since we've had this kind of European vibe, I guess. Yeah, like they were both tourist traps, I guess. Mm-hmm. But were tourist destinations. But Sea of Darkness was like a tiny little town. Yeah. And Prague is, well, it's Prague. Yeah. Everybody knows about regal, Prague. I guess. Would be how I describe big city vibes. Yeah. Yeah. Big city, ancient history, not ancient maybe, but like super old history, super cool, stuff like that. And so, yeah, that was nice. I just think the atmosphere was so beautiful and the setting was so perfect for an Nancy Drew game. And, I'm very happy that we had this atmosphere and setting. It was very, very well done. Okay. And we now normally don't talk about mechanics, but I feel like it's worth diving into now. I will say, better than Midnight in Salem. Yes, I agree. Yeah. I'm gonna have my sad girl moment for a minute, and then I'm gonna try to sad girl moment. Talk about it positively. So, to be 100% honest and transparent, when I finished the game, I cried myself to sleep that night. And most of it was because I felt a little unsatisfied by the end of it. And I think a lot of it was because I could see the potential and the good bones. And my mechanical gameplay experience with this game was so frustrating and discouraging at multiple points that I felt like a lot of my enjoyment and immersion was kind of taken away in those moments of frustration. And I ended up feeling disappointed. And then I go online and I'm seeing basically what it feels like to me. I'm seeing a majority of the fans loving it and saying that, like, I was seeing quotes like, Key is an almost perfect game. And, this is the Nancy Drew game that I've been wanting for years. And like, I didn't want to dismiss any of those opinions, and I want and still do want people to love this game. And then I felt guilty because I was not loving it like I wanted to. And I felt like I was like weirdly alone and like isolated in my opinion, and it was making me feel really bad about myself. And I was like, am I a bad fan? Did I do it wrong? Like, did I not try hard enough? Like, I was having all sorts of like these weird doubts. And then eventually I accepted them for what they were, and told myself that, I don't have to love every installment the way that I love, Shadow Ranch. Like, I'm still as much of a fan as the series as anybody else is. And, I don't have to pretend to love it if I don't, and I don't have to force myself to love it if it's not coming naturally to me. So that's kind of where I'm sitting now. So it started out really sad, but I wanted to kind of end that on like a hopeful note and say that like, I don't, I have a lot of critiques of this game, and you may have no critiques of this game, not you specifically, Ray, but like, I'm just talking about any listener, but, and that's okay. Like, we can have different experiences, and I think that's okay. In thinking about it, I think a lot of my experience and frustration, and the reason that it was not that great of an experience, is because I played it pretty much entirely in point and click. And what that did for me was I spent the entire time basically comparing the point and click to how the point and click used to be. And previously in a Nancy Drew game, every scene and frame had something intentional behind it. If you were able to look at something, that meant something. And if you were able to like walk this way, it meant something. And the point and click and how it is delivered in this game, it lends itself to a lot of like useless frames and useless scenes. And that was really frustrating to me because I felt like it was wasting my time. Like, why could I walk toward this bookshelf and look at it at this angle if I can't actually interact with anything? So it took a lot of getting used to, and I still think I finished the game not quite used to it. So perhaps my experience would be better if I played it in the free roam. But I don't play games like that a lot. So that sort of style of gameplay is very unusual for me because I just don't naturally gravitate toward games that would play that way. And what's funny is that in talking with a few other people in the community, I have found that those who kind of have opinions like me, where like this game just like didn't really hit for them, it is because of the mechanics, and they were players that are primarily point and click, and the people who are playing free roam are having more fun with it, and that's fine. And I'm happy to have sort of like made that realization. But then the question posed in my head, if you're going to offer both modes, should you not try to do everything in your power to ensure that both modes are equally fun for the player and how they're presented? And I think it feels like Mystery of the Seven Keys was designed to be free roam, and then at the last second they were like, well, we got to do point and click for the point and click like purists. And I appreciate that to an extent, but it feels so broken to play it point and click, and I really, really wish that it didn't feel that way, because it makes it feel a little disconnected from the series that I grew up playing and have come to love so much. So that's my big rant about the mechanics and why I feel the way I feel about this game.
I basically have a lot of the same thoughts as you, but I'm just going to say my piece with all this, which is why I'm giving it a pretty high rating, is that no Nancy Drew game is going to be perfect. In almost every Nancy Drew game, there has been a part where I absolutely detest this part of it, or like this other part of it, or something, but I still really like the game overall. Like, for example, the Phantom of Venice is one of my favorites in the series, but the evil Roombas part makes me want to throw my computer out the window. But, like, that, it's okay, because it's part of the game, and it's okay if I don't love every part of it. I'm okay with that. And so, yeah, I just it's fine. I guess I don't know. I'm pretty good at accepting when something isn't perfect, and that's okay. Um, and I do see a lot of people who have like these opinions on stuff, especially in like the gaming community. Like I'm a huge Assassin's Creed fan, and I haven't played Mirage yet. But when Mirage came out, it was you were very seldom going to be able to see somebody say something like, it's not perfect, but it's a step in the right direction. Most people are like, this is a terrible game, they're never going to solve this series. They did this one thing that I really hate, and now everything's bad. And you see that a lot in video games, actually.
Yeah.
But
Pokemon
it's like
fans are like that too.
Yeah, but it's like, okay, you also are saying like Unity is your favorite game, but you hate the story of it. But you're saying that this one thing of this newer game that you don't like makes the entire thing bad for you, even though favorite game is this other one, even though you say it has more flaws than this one. I don't know. It just, a lot of the times, I think people are blinded by like nostalgia and what they love that came before this, and if it's not better than this one, then it's not good at all. And it's just like, sometimes you need to accept that nothing's gonna be exactly how you want it, and it's okay to not have everything be perfect. I don't know. I'm pretty good at accepting things like that, as I've said, and so a lot of the times stuff like this just comes easier for me to like to enjoy things.
Yeah, I think
like
that's fair.
yeah, like it's harder for me to enjoy the new Star Wars movies, the sequels, because when they first came out, I didn't really want to care about the plot or anything. Like I do now, because like I've gone deeper into the Star Wars lore, but like I still think there's a lot of fun parts about those movies, even though I do think the story sucks.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna be like, oh, everything Star Wars does is bad now, blah blah blah. Because then Andor came out, and that is probably the best piece of Star Wars media ever. So it's like just sometimes you have to just accept something isn't going to be perfect.
Yeah.
And you can move on, look for something new, and wait for more stuff. See what comes next. My biggest thing with this game is that Her Interactive is taking the right steps in the right directions.
Yeah,
because Midnight in Salem was a disaster.
Yeah, it was.
But
and
yeah.
I want to give like credit where credit's due, because it's like Her Interactive as a company is not what it was 15 years ago, and as far as like resources, staff, and like a lot of things, like just a lot of things have changed, and I don't want to sound in any way entitled as a fan, because 34 games in a series is unheard of for any series of games, and
especially an indie one.
Yeah,
with a small
so to
company.
know that we've gotten that many, and the company is still attempting to keep it to continue that for us is, it's good.
Yeah.
And I don't want, but at the end of it, I didn't want to be dishonest about my experience with this game. So that's kind of why I'm like in this weird, I feel like I'm in this weird, like, I don't fit into the dislike group, and I don't fit into the like group, because I see the merits of both sides, and so like, I feel like I'm in this weird like gray zone.
Yeah. that's I was gonna say that's basically how I'm like for Assassin's Creed Unity, because I really didn't like the story, but I really liked the gameplay.
Yeah.
And so like there's people who are like, oh, it's the worst Assassin's Creed game. People are like, oh, it's the best Assassin's Creed game. And I'm just like, I just think controlled descent and not being forced to jump to your death is really neat, personally. So but
so with that being said,
ooh, I do have a bit more to talk about. Because one of the reasons why, because there's a lot of people who are like, Her Interactive just keep making games and just make them all like the older games, but it's been like 10 years since the last game in the old UI. And, the gaming industry is changing incredibly fast, and for the worse for the indie developers, for the small game studios. Because you've got stuff like EA and Ubisoft and stuff just being awful to the other companies, especially EA, like, and Ubisoft, both of them. And I'm fans of games from both of those places. But, like, and so you do have to, for me, I do give indie studios grace with a lot of what they do. Because it's like, they do not have as much resources as the big studios. They don't have enough support to be as big as them. They don't have enough money. They don't have enough money and funds is the same thing. They don't have enough fans and stuff. What they do have, though, is a small base of fans and people who like to play indie games for fun. And so they have to basically, like, rely on that. And so whenever people hold Her Interactive to the same standards as, like, EA, I'm like, girl,
yeah, you can't do that.
No. They're completely different, and it would be incredibly disingenuous to do that and, you know, say that it's a valid critique, because it's like, no, it's not. They're not the same. There's, you know, and for an indie game studio, this game is great. Like, indie games just, they have to go with what they got, and this one gave it everything it had for the moment, and I like that. It's not perfect. I have a lot of critiques about it, but I like it for what it is. And which is, for me, pretty good game. Not perfect, but it's pretty good. And so, yeah, I like it. And if it releases with a few glitches, you know, as I said, it's an indie studio. And indie studios aren't going to have the incredible amount of time and money to test everything and make everything perfect, even though I think they definitely should have done a lot more testing with it. Having a few glitches, to me, isn't that big of a deal, because, you know, I play Skyrim.
Yeah.
And when you play Skyrim, you know glitches and bugs. And then, like, last year, or was it the year before? I don't know, but EA released Jedi Survivor, and that game was literally unplayable on PC because of the insane amount of bugs it had. And, like, it was patched, like, so many times, it's still not fun to play on PC, so I haven't played it yet. And they're a big company. They definitely could have made sure that it was completely ready to be played when they released it, but they didn't. And so, like, I will not give EA any grace for that. They deserve nothing, but Her Interactive deserves a little bit. So that's why I'm taking it a little bit easier on Her Interactive than
I think that's
the
valid.
big companies. So, but, like, it is a PC game, and, like, with console games, like, on PS5 or Xbox or something, like, there's not really glitches, really, but with PC games, because of, like, the components and the hardware and stuff, there's a lot more stuff that can happen with the files and everything. So yeah, there's just stuff. So those are my thoughts.
Okay.
I have a lot of them.
What is your overall rank, would you say?
For me, I rated it a 7 out of 10, and I'm just gonna keep it that way because my happiness with it overrules my disappointment. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So, I have my little note on my phone where I have ranked every Nancy Drew game, and I had to update it because I finished Mystery of the Seven Keys. Yeah. So, I ended up putting it at number 30 of 34, which is pretty low, but there are a few games less than that. I really hope that nobody sends me nasty DMs to our Instagram, but I think I'm going to...
Listen, if you send nasty messages to Tori, I will find where you live. I am a K-pop stan. I can ask other K-pop stans for information. And I will.
Okay. Down, girl. I'm going to rate it.
You're gonna hack your account and make you tweet hate comments about BTS.
Oh my gosh. That's terrifying. So I'm gonna rate Mystery of the Seven Keys at 2.5 out of 10.
Oof.
I'm sorry, but it was like I said, my immersion and enjoyment was just broken one too many times, I think, for me to rate it much higher. So that's it. We did it.
Yep, we did it.
We talked for
our
over
longest
3 hours.
Yeah, our longest episode to date, which will be a two-parter. So you'll be listening to part 2 right now. So, whew.
Thanks for sticking in.
Yeah, thank you for sticking in this entire thing. It has been quite a bit of time. It has been a long time.
Yep.
So, yeah, I cannot wait until game 35. Because I know it's gonna happen, because the community's back alive, Her Interactive's back at making games. I got a little hint in the end credit scene, and I have hope, and I'm happy about it. So, yeah,
I'm excited to see what's next.
Yeah. All right, so follow us on Tumblr, on Instagram, and subscribe on YouTube, and follow us on Spotify, and stay sleuthy!
Stay sleuthy. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, bye!